Good morning, all. Camelback Trading 2724 and the pitfuturestrading.com coming to you this Thursday morning, February 13th. We're looking at the market profile of the SPY ETF the last 3 days. And after making consecutive highs to all-time highs, bulls are taking a breather. Now, last night, right after the market closed, we did put in a new all-time high in the after hours. Not by a lot, only by 12 cents, but it is there. And now, remember, we had both a price probe and a price spike yesterday, both being firmly rejected as we're looking to gap lower after the all-time high yesterday into that void. Remember, we've been talking about that, right? You could use whatever reason you want. You know my feelings on that as far as news versus market-generated information. To me, what's going on here is your price probe and price spike are being rejected, unlike on the 10th when they were firmly accepted when we gapped high the next day and never got into them. And now, all we're doing is looking at price, seeking its level. Between yesterday's low and the low from the 11th, there's not much there. So you're having price bounce around and chop around in here, which is no surprise. You have a lot of area in here in the 10th where there were buyers. But for now, price is going to battle between the gap low and the low from the 11th. So let's go over destinations and a game plan. So right now, with just over an hour to go prior to the opening, if we gap lower, your first destination will be yesterday's low of 336.43. We're about 80 cents lower than that right now. Then, if you get accepted back into yesterday's range, there's nothing until 12 wide, right? We just missed 13 for 13. Well, 12 wide at 337. Then we would have yesterday's high of 337.65, which is our all-time high, and 337.77. Overnight all-time high. For the downside, since we still have an hour and this market's done remarkable things all the time, you could still use yesterday's low of 336.43 as your first downside destination, right? In case we don't gap lower. Now, the price probe and price spike firmly being rejected, so I wouldn't put those into the equation. They'll be gone. Now, below that, until you get more market-generated information, you don't have anything until 334.75. That's why price is where it is. There's a void here, and it's trying to figure out what it wants to do. Now, below that, if you take out the low from the 11th, you're going to get into all those very, very important points and reference areas from the 10th. Now, the first one is 334.20, which is your price probe, L's high from the 10th. And that's doubly important because that's a penny higher than last week's high. So, right? So we would be still one time framing up 2 weeks, but buyers would love to close. Now we have 2 days left, but they would certainly love to close above last week's high. So a very important point, 334.20. And then below that, you have your 3 sets of single prints and everything else that I had given you many times over in the past couple of days. So what's the game plan for this morning? Well, right now, gap rules do apply, which means if you're going to open lower, you can go with the gap. However, the bigger the gap, the less I'm going to either go with my size or I'm going to wait to see if we get some type of counter auction. So right now, it's a little over $1 on the gap. So if I go with this gap and it's around the same price when we open, I'm going to do it with smaller size to see if we get a counter auction to increase my size to have a better risk reward. The gap fills, I am out. I am not looking for a call play here for the simple fact that we're kind of in limbo, right? We're $1 from yesterday's low and we're another $1 from where price might ultimately seek its level. So I certainly don't want to be a buyer here. So I would wait for a call position. Put position at this level. I take small to see if we get a counter auction to increase. If we start driving down, you could always add because the odds are you're going to get to the low of the 11th if you start getting some acceleration. That's the game plan for early today. And then, chart-wise, again, I'll just show the weekly and the daily. So the weekly is one time framing up for 2 weeks with 2 days to go. We want to stay above last week's high, right? Again, if you get sucked back down below 334.19 and close inside of here, yes, you're still one time framing up, but you're going to be closer to the trend line, and you're going to really be back into this whole balance. So it's important for the buyers to stay above that. And on the daily, same thing. So we went from up, right now we're going to be in balance. As long as we take out yesterday's low, and again, there's an hour to go. We could come right back into yesterday's range and not stop the one-time framing up. But as of right now, we would be back in balance. It would be a 3-day balance, right? Yesterday would be the high. 2 days ago would be the low of the balance. And again, you'd be getting to the point of testing your trend line. So the bull's job is to get back into yesterday's range and close the gap. For the bears, their first minor step is to hold the gap and then get back into the previous week's range. Good luck trading today. Have a great day, and we'll recap at 4 p.m.